Hello, my name is Ray, and the channel is called Ray Tales. This video is about Session 9, Waterdeep Dragon Heist Campaign Diary. The session opens up on the 8th day of Marpanoth, with Shenanigans Inc. scrounging for breakfast in the tavern pantry after completing a long rest. It is a cold and windy day in Waterdeep, with the streets filling up due to the crops being brought to market by farmers before winter sets in on the northern Sword Coast. The group eats breakfast and discusses tavern business. The commissioned sand table will be completed in 2 days, while the tavern renovations will be completed 7 days later. Binger, the gnome from Corinne, will have his resizable tables and chairs, his self-emptying chamber pots, also called autopots, the privy doggy doors, the aviary door, the dumbwaiter, and the bar tap system faucets ready for the tavern on the 15th of Marpanoth. The auto tea kettles and the Deceptipots, which are auto pots that look like overlarge ale tankards with lids, will be completed on the 25th of Marpanoth. When Sam the contractor shows up, Varen talks to him and his workers about adding a library ladder to the pantry for easy access to the high shelves for shorter folks. Sam agrees to this and says the ladders will be finished by the end of the day. Sadek starts making glitter bombs. He's wanting to trap windows and doors, I guess, to his area, to her room. And I'm not exactly sure I'm going to handle this. He's got a lot of the materials. I just need to come up with the game mechanics for it. And I still owe him that. Karn and Anvil decide to spend the day at the library researching some information on a historical lost family member, Adrian Bladesong, who had a moonblade sword that was lost ages ago. The research failed to turn up specific information on Adrian or the moonblade, but the duo did discover some tidbit of elven information. What really happened was he rolled a pretty decent roll, but it is slightly lower than what the DC I had set in my head for the information he was looking for. However, I didn't want him to leave empty-handed, so he got some other bit of information that is either tangentially connected to the information he was looking for, or it's connected to someone in the party, or could be connected to someone in the party in the near future. So, that information is as follows. Darvin Asturian, a follower of Hor, founded the Tower of Doom. He built the temple in a valley of the Sunset Mountains in what is known in modern times as Cormyr. It was a simple tower which contained a platinum altar dedicated to the deity of retribution. Many a young paladin dedicated themselves to Hor at that altar. Many a group of adventurers received the blessings of the temple before setting out to seek revenge or met out retribution to Hor's enemies. As much as the tower was loved and respected by those who benefited from its efforts, so was it feared and hated by the leaders of evil and their minions. At the time of the tower's greatest trial, the high priest of Hor was acknowledged by his brothers as the most devoted worshipper. One night, Darvin Asturian was awakened by a terrible dream, a nightmare that he took to be a vision of the future. In his dream, he saw the tower and all of its grounds desecrated and destroyed, and superimposed on the scene of carnage was the gloating ram-faced demon Orcus. Darvin saw the dream as a message from Hor, the god's way of warning the temple that its fate, or one of its possible fates, was to be overrun by the forces of evil and chaos. So Darvin reached out to the elves for their assistance in destroying Orcus and his followers. In response, the elves forged a blade called Vindictive Guardian. We head back to the Mead and Magic Tavern, where Sam the contractor informs Varen and Zendrin that he will have everything completed a day early. This is good news that is celebrated by interviewing Joseph Peabody, the halfling amateur brewer, whose house the group crashed when rescuing Renard Neverember. Joseph demonstrates his skill at cooking up dishes in the tavern's kitchen, and there was discussion of him developing small batches of beer to sell at the tavern. An idea that Joseph thought was fantastic and quickly dubbed the beer Meat and Magic IPA. SI regroups at the Meat and Magic Tavern from their various errands. The group then decides to hire everyone they have interviewed to date. Annabelle the bartender, Danica and Bren the servers, Kelso and Dasher the cooks, Mr. Peabody the tavern manager, and Yagra the bouncer. The group also discusses preparations to follow up on the information given to them by Zardoz about the half-elf murders going on in the dock ward. Varen changes her armor to appear like a sailor, leaves her bow at home, and heads to the Mule Skull Tavern. On the way there, Varen notes that Zardoz's 3 ships are still in the harbor. Varen then enters the tavern and orders an ale and stays near the door. Sadek hangs outside the tavern and hides in shadows across the street so she could see the doorway. Karn stays outside and engages in small talk with Anvil a little way down the road from the tavern's entrance, while Zendrin takes up position in the alley across from the tavern. The only thing of note that Varen sees this night is a young man with slightly pointed ears, with 2 human males and a tavern wench at a table in the tavern. Nothing else is noted by her, so Varen decides to leave the tavern at 10 o'clock and wanders around on the street near the tavern acting drunk. About 10 minutes later, the half-elf leaves the tavern, stumbles along in a drunken stupor, and walks along a path that Varen took. Then the half-elf wanders down an alley to piss. It's that time the group sees a figure peel away from a nearby wall and heads down the alley with a drawn weapon that looks like an odd crossbow. The figure is clearly elven and is later revealed to be a drow. SI engages the drow in combat, where he is defeated, but the group does not escape unscathed. Matter of fact, Varen had a couple scares that required the cleric to heal her to help her back up, and then for her to actually use her own healing abilities to stay alive. The drow body is searched, and Zendrin takes a short sword, the strange crossbow, 10 metal round balls, and a capped horn containing a grayish powder. He places them all in his backpack. Sadek, meanwhile, scalps the drow and takes his ears for the proof that the murderer has been neutralized. It's after this incident that SI heads back to M&M to grab the rest of their gear. Petrie, or her burrow, Varen's burrow, and the oil that Varen bought, and heads to Undercliff to hunt scarecrows. The party goes to the farms in the center region of the Undercliff that still have crops to harvest. They take up positions in the middle of a field, separated just enough to keep each other in sight. An animated scarecrow appears. The party attacks and eventually takes it down. Varen gathers the remains of the scarecrow construct into a sack and takes them with her. The group is not sure whether or not there's only one scarecrow or multiple scarecrows. So they decided to call it a night and head back to the Mead and Magic Tavern. By the time they get home, it's pretty early in the morning of the 9th of Marpanoth. And after they take a long rest, Varen decides to deliver the Scarecrow remains to the Emerald Enclave. Varen is taken to see Jareth, who tells her that SI has not killed all the Scarecrow constructs yet, that by their estimation there are 2 more. And Varen is also given a necklace with a unicorn charm as her reward for joining the Emerald Conclave. The unicorn charm is a charm of restoration, has 6 charges, can cast lesser restorations or a greater restoration. Sadek meets with Davil at the Yawning Portal and gives him the ears and scalp of the drow, while telling him that she and the other members of SI took care of the murderer while they were in the dock ward. Davil gives Sadek 5 small purses of coins, 1 for each member of the team, and Sadek earns 1 renown with Davil's Zentarum faction. Sadek then heads back to the M&M Tavern and gives everyone their purses. And they find that each purse contains 50 gold dragons. Varen decides to go check out the furniture store to find out when the sand table will be delivered. She finds out that the company will deliver the table tonight, the 9th of Marpanoth, at approximately 5 p.m. A little bit after that, a messenger arrives with a small box for Zendrin, and it contains 25 gold dragons from Mert and a box of chocolates. At the end of the session, the sand table is delivered to the Mead and Magic Tavern, and Session 10 will pick up shortly after that delivery on the 9th day of Marpanoth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next campaign diary.